FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
There's a slight chance of a morning shower or thunderstorm this morning. Otherwise, it's going to be hazy, hot, and humid throughout the rest of the day, high of 87 degrees. Gradual clearing overnight tonight with a low of 69. Tomorrow, there's a slight chance of afternoon showers and possibly a thunderstorm. Otherwise, it's going to be mostly sunny, hazy, hot, and humid as well. High is going to be 91 degrees tomorrow. Showers and thunderstorms likely on Sunday with a high of 84 degrees. Then Monday, mostly cloudy, high 68. Tuesday, chance of afternoon showers and a high of 75 degrees. That is a look at the news for now. I'm Frank Sparks, Beaver County Radio News, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and beavercountyradio.com.
Your community, your radio stations, originating from the St. Barnabas Control Studio in Beaver County, 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge.
All right, I told you the second hour was going to be wonderful because, number one, it wasn't going to have anything to do with politics. Dear goodness, thank you for that. Number two, it's going to be about something that I actually love. It's a sign of spring. I've got two guests with me. You can see them both if you go to our Facebook page. This is being live Facebook streamed. But Wayne Harley is with me, and Chuck Malone is with me. And you guys handle, to me, one of the rites of spring. When I see signs coming up saying the farmers markets are about to crank up. First off, I've already been corrected. Wayne, I thought it was your job and Chuck was taking over, and both of you looked at me like I had three heads. What is your job with the Beaver County Farmers Markets? What do you do?
I'm actually a past president of the organization a few years back. I'm the market manager at 4 of the markets, so I'm the guy that blows the horn to start the market at the starting time.
No, you do more than that. You don't show up with the air horn, and that's not all you do. What 4 markets do you deal with?
New Brighton, Beaver Falls, Ambridge, and Beaver. Those are 4 of the markets. The one I didn't mention was Chippewa.
They won't let you blow the horn over there?
I'm not there.
All right,
Chippewa and the New Brighton markets are both the same day on Tuesdays.
Mm-hmm.
So my wife goes to Chippewa and I go to New Brighton.
So your wife is the proxy horn blower.
I think.
No, Tim Haffey and somebody else.
So she's representing.
Tim Haffey is the horn blower.
All right.
Chippewa then.
Wayne Harley. Chuck, I want to ask you, what is it that you do with the farmers market? This is a group. It's how many? 5 total?
Okay. I'm the current president of the Beaver County Farmer Markets, the open air markets. There are 5 total in Beaver County.
And it's the ones that Wayne just named. I know the one in Ambridge because I live in Ambridge.
On Mondays it's Beaver Falls.
Mm-hmm.
That's 3:30 to 6:30. Tuesday we do have 2 markets, as Wayne said, one in Chippewa and one in New Brighton, and they both go from 3:30 to 6:30. On Thursdays is the market in Ambridge, and it goes from 4 to 7, and then Beaver on Saturday from 10 to 1.
I haven't seen it yet. Is anything in season to be sold this early?
Yes.
What's in season to be sold this early?
There's spring onions, green onions.
Okay.
As far as vegetables go, some people may have some wintered potatoes. Onions will be out there.
We have a bumper crop of asparagus and rhubarb this year from our farm. Really have done well in those 2 areas. So if people are interested in those 2 products, there's lots of them on the market. We're not the only ones that are selling them. But
all right, I'm going to ask a stupid question, Wayne. What is a rhubarb? I grew up in the deep South. I ate collard greens, but rhubarb I don't know. I know they make pie out of it. I know that from Andy Griffith. But what is a rhubarb?
I guess you consider rhubarb as a fruit, although it's very tart. The most common thing that people make with rhubarb is rhubarb pie or strawberry rhubarb pie. There's rhubarb cake. There's jelly you can make out of rhubarb. There's lots of different things.
You can make like a rhubarb sauce, like an applesauce, which is what I grew up eating it. I didn't have too much rhubarb pie until I got older.
All right, what drew you to this? First, Wayne, is you grew up around farming, I'm assuming. Is that right?
I'm a farm kid. Grew up in New Swickley Township here in Beaver County.
All
My
right.
wife is also
Farm
the
kid?
daughter of a farmer.
How often do you tell people, yeah, you think your job's tough? Well, describe a day, and Chuck, I'm going to get to you. Describe a day in your youth because I was not a farm kid. I went to school with farm kids. And when they show up for the first class, it already looked like they had been working for 6 or 8 days. What was a typical farm kid day? What time did the first animal need to be fed? You just laughing.
We had milk cows on the farm where I grew up. Dairy farms are getting very rare in Beaver County now. I think we're down to only 12 of them for the whole county, and there used to be hundreds of them. But
why is that?
We milk cows.
Yeah.
And,
first thing in the morning, because if you don't, they'll let you know.
Before you went to school.
Yeah. And then what chores were waiting on you when you got home?
Yep. When you got home, you had to feed the cows again. And, of course, cows are milked twice a day. Some dairy farmers milk cows 3 times a day, but twice was enough, I thought.
Yeah, you were the one getting sent. No, 2's good. Right. Why are the farms disappearing? Is it? I hear a term, and I want to ask you both about it. What's the difference between being a farmer and a commercial farmer? Because I thought that was the whole point. You were running your own business.
Actually, there are very few commercial farms. I don't think there's any in Beaver County. Probably more than 98% of farms are owned by families.
What is a commercial farm?
I would say a commercial farm is where you have a corporation, and it could be a multi-family corporation, and you're looking more towards the Midwest for commercial farms, I think.
All right. Wayne Harley is my guest, and Chuck Malone is my guest. Chuck, you a farm kid too?
No, I was not. I learned to farm.
How'd you get dragged into the dirt then?
My lovely wife, Karen, she's 4th generation. I learned to farm on the sidewalks and streets of Van Buren Homes, and then the sidewalks and streets of Beaver.
Okay.
Years later, my dad grew up in Connecticut, and they had some land in Connecticut, and he always talked about that, and he wished his father had never sold that during World War II. So all my life I heard him say, I wish my father never sold this. My wife, and I found out my mother after she passed, she grew up outside of Baltimore, that she and her whole family worked the farms. And I don't know if people realize this, but Pittsburgh in the 30s and 40s and even in the 50s were surrounded by family farms. And that's slowly, as the urban spread, that's gone away. Now, my wife is 4th generation on her farm, on her mother's side, her grandfather's side, and her family got into it back in the 80s. Her brother, Chris, who's gone now, he was one of the original founders of this group. And they, as a family, worked it together, her 2 brothers and her sister and her, for a number of years. And then we all had to leave the area due to work.
Okay.
We sort of dropped out of the group. And then we moved back in the area in 91, and my wife started getting back into it.
And that's how you got dragged?
I got into it. If you have the time, you want to hear the story?
I would love to hear the story, because I know if you grew up if you've got Connecticut roots, you don't think of that as, salt of the earth.
I never lived in Connecticut.
Okay,
just
but
Van Buren. My dad grew up there, but
I did a lot of things my wife said and went along with it that I didn't grow to love. It sounds like you did this and you grew to love it. What happened?
I did. Lived here all my life. For a while, we moved to Central PA in the Harrisburg area for work. Once the steel mill shut down, I used to work at Crucible Midland.
Okay.
In 91, early 91, we decided to move back to Beaver, but I still worked in Harrisburg, so I commute on weekends. My wife got into this thanks to a man who used to be in the market, Frank Mazur, and Heather and Marty Volcar, and she started out small. And so on Saturdays, I would help her sell in Beaver.
Okay.
And I would
What was
sit
she
there.
selling?
She was selling mainly heirloom tomatoes.
Okay.
She was very, very small.
She was the tomato table.
Yes.
Okay.
There were a lot of people selling tomatoes, but she would look around and say, okay, what are people selling? What are they not selling? And Becky Floyd of Floyd Dowd Farms was a big help to her. And the Dowd's Farm is still a member, too, and I believe they were founding members. Anyway, so I was sitting there on Saturday, and to the left of me were Mr. and Mr. Zahn, and opposite us was Mr. Dean. Those people did this into their 90s. Right? And I looked at them and I thought, wow, they're being active by farming. They're physical.
Oh, absolutely. You're
right?
staying in shape.
Yeah, making a few bucks, right?
Yeah.
But the big thing was they have this social life at markets. And I thought, what a wonderful way for me to spend my golden years with my wife. So I really started getting into it.
And you bought into it. And yeah, the life expectancy of a farmer is different than a steel worker, isn't it?
Yes, and I used to work IT too. That's why I was at Harrisburg, and it's a big difference. Yeah.
Can you make a living just small batch farming? Like you talk about make a little money. How difficult is it to make a living? Wayne, I'll start with you. I want to grow tomatoes and I want to support myself. How many acres am I going to have to deal with to give myself a shot?
Last year we put in over 3,000 tomato plants, so we had lots of tomatoes to sell. So that's only one thing. We have the orchard, which includes apples and peaches and cherries and things like that.
And those come in later in the season.
But we grow a multitude of different items, so we consequently cover the farmers market from the beginning in May until the last market in Beaver, which is in December, just before Christmas.
Okay.
So we cover the whole season from the beginning to end, and we make a living at it. My son is full-time. That's his job. He's got a business management degree from Robert Morris, but he wanted to farm, so my wife and I help him, and we get some other help from time to time as we need it.
Did you steer him in the direction of farming, or did you try and talk him out of it? Because growing up around farm kids, I saw both sides of it. I saw some say, you're going to work on the farm. I saw some say, no, my dad wants me to get out of this. How are you?
My youngest son has a love for farming,
Yeah.
and it's what he wanted to do. After college, he said, I'm staying on the farm. So he did.
All right. How much can you make selling tomatoes at your wife's table, Chuck?
For the amount that we do, we just do Beaver and Ambridge.
Okay.
And
so 2 days a week.
2 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
We plant maybe 3 to 5 acres. We do other things besides tomatoes. We do a lot of 6 different potato varieties. The amount that we
I didn't know
grow,
there were 6 different potatoes.
Oh, there's thousands. Don't even get me. If you
When
want to
did you see his eyes light up? Oh, no.
There's thousands.
Okay, so
Peru is a whole other story. They've got even more. But all potatoes come from Peru, by the way. The DNA has shown that. That's where the potato. But anyway, I'm getting off track.
No, that's the land where they eat guinea pigs as a delicacy. Sure, you got to have starches with that.
But where Wayne's farm, they put in 3,000 tomato plants.
Yeah.
We may put in 1,000 different heirlooms. We would not be able to survive just on what we do farming. Okay, but that was never the intent. The intent was to keep my wife's family's farm as a farm. That was her original intent.
A working farm.
A working farm, to make enough money to pay the taxes, pay the upkeep, and make a few extra bucks.
All right.
It's tough for a person to run a family farm. It's tough. I don't think people realize how tough it is for families to keep a farm. Like Wayne's farm has been in that family for over 100 years.
105 years, yeah.
McConnell's, who's part of the farm market group, they do a lot of peaches and apples and stuff. That's 200 years plus for their farm.
And that's surviving even on the whims of Mother Nature, maybe jacking up a season.
People leaving wills, people dying, to have a family member willing to step up and take that over as a living is amazing.
How has the clientele, the merchants for the farmers markets, has that changed? Is it professional farmers or is it idiots like me growing stuff on boxes hoping it works out?
Well,
micro farms, I think is the word.
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah.
There are large farms like the Hartley's farm in Oak Hill. Enon Valley, Tim Haffey is a large farm. Fosty's, they were original members.
Yeah, they're the only working farm in Conway Borough.
Yeah, and they're split because there's PJ's Deli and Trish, who does vegetables. They're related to the Fosty's, so that's spread out a little bit. Haberle's they are family farm, and Schweikert's Greenhouse. They they're true professionals. We consider ourselves professionals because we do this for, we make money at it.
Right.
And there are other smaller people, and I think they're into it because they like growing. They have a bit of land and they like growing and stuff.
All right, Wayne Harley is my guest. Chuck Malone is my guest. We're talking about the farmers markets in Beaver County, and we're going to talk about more than that. First, take care of news.
Jobs, jobs, jobs. Enroll now to secure your future with an exciting career as a hairstylist. Learn what it takes to be the best in your field. Call the Beaver Falls Beauty Academy at 724-843-7700 or visit them online for more information. The Beaver Falls Beauty Academy has what it takes to make you a success. Do what you love and call the Beaver Falls Beauty Academy today to make your dreams come true.
Friendly Federal Credit Union, you've got a friend.
If your monthly cash flow has slowed to a trickle, but your needs at this time of the year could use a full stream of cash, Friendly Federal Credit Union has just turned the spigot on for you in the form of their annual Shower of Loans event. This is Cindy Hilario, and the forecast is calling for showers. Go ahead and get soaked with cash for the things you need because Friendly Federal Credit Union has a 10-year home equity loan from just 2.75%. Special offers are based on new loan applications and credit approval. In addition, applications for the Carl D. Ross and Anthony S. Payne scholarships are now being accepted through the end of June. Visit the offices in Aliquippa and Babe. It's a place that makes more sense for you. Friendly Federal Credit Union, member NCUA, equal housing lender.
Friendly Federal Credit Union, you got a friend.
Tune in every Friday at 12:30 for another insightful edition of Living Well, a special segment on Beaver County Radio designed to help you enjoy the best, most fulfilling, and healthiest life possible. Hosted by Dr. Joseph Maroon and Jeff Boast, and presented by St. Barnabas. Living Well, Fridays at 12:30. Right here on Beaver County Radio, WBVP Beaver Falls, WMBA Ambridge, along with 99.3 FM and 95.7 FM.
You've been told you have neuropathy. Tired of the burning, numbness, tingling? Tri-State Neuropathy Centers in Beaver get results.
My legs were on fire from my toes to my knees. They were numb. I've gone to 46 doctors. I was desperate. Believe me, I was desperate. I would do anything to get better because my life wasn't the life I wanted. It's the first time I'm able to walk. I couldn't walk more than 3-4 steps. Now I can walk blocks.
And I went to doctors and they'd give me pills. My improvement has gone 60% and I'm on my way to 100%.
Don't listen to the neurologist when they tell you there's nothing that can be done. And once a nerve's dead, it's dead. Because there is something that can be done. I'm living proof of that.
Tri-State Neuropathy Centers. Suffering from neuropathy? Visit marydancedin.com or call 724-940-9000. That's 724-940-9000 for Tri-State Neuropathy Centers, serving the entire Beaver County area.
When accidents and injuries happen, you need the experience and insight of the legal team at Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George. Since 1934, they've been committed to the physical and financial recovery of personal injury victims. Why choose the law firm of Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George? Attorney Larry Kelly explains.
First of all, we've been AV rated by Martindale-Hubbell. It's the highest rating you can get for legal ability and ethics, and that comes from our peers. We have board-certified civil trial specialist, which is like another bar exam. Would you go to a doctor who is not board-certified? Probably not. I've always said, and I tell my daughters, I have 3 daughters who are attorneys. Those in the profession know. The lawyers of LGKG have the respect of our peers, and that's all I ever cared about.
For your free initial consultation, call the law firm of Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George at 724-658-8535 or online at lgkg.com. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, keeping promises for over 80 years.
It started with a road trip into the American Midwest. Huntington bankers with one mission, to understand how people made sense of money. And that's how we met Dontel.
How do we control cash flow? Calendar, dates marked for invoices, when payroll hits. It's messy, but it gives us a sense of what's coming.
And that's how we came up with a tool that helps businesses forecast cash flow digitally. Our customers give us the best ideas. Huntington, welcome. Member FDIC. Learn more at huntington.com.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Frank Sparks.
Good morning. As today's forecast is called for the slight chance of a shower or thunderstorm this morning. Otherwise, it's going to be hazy, hot, and humid this afternoon. High is going to be up to 87 degrees. We'll have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast coming up for you right after we have this look at news. While all lanes have reopened this morning on the Parkway West after that fiery crash yesterday afternoon involving a semi-truck and a car occurred outbound on the Parkway West near the Ridge Road exit, causing a traffic headache as both outbound lanes were shut down for a period of time. The original call came in for the accident with entrapment. As crews arrived, they searched both vehicles for any occupants as they battled the fire. Crews found that both occupants did make it out safely. There's no word on what caused the accident. Photos on social media after the fire was put out showed a charred red four-door vehicle pinned up on the Jersey barrier and a blue truck cab that was also charred near the driver's side of the truck against the car. Initial reports say that there were no injuries in the accident as police continue to investigate what caused the accident. The Beaver County Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors is announcing the hiring of Donna Lee Seipel as the new president of the Beaver County Chamber of Commerce, effective Wednesday, June the 1st. Donna Lee joins the chamber staff as a former chief executive officer of the Japan American Society of Tennessee and the Japan American Society of Pennsylvania. She currently resides in Beaver with her husband, Sam. She is looking forward to furthering the chamber's mission of leading and advocating for economic growth and community vitality through collaboration, networking, and education in order to foster the best, most diverse, and inclusive environment for members of the chamber. Donna Lee replaces current president Helen Kissick, who announced her resignation on February the 21st after 3 years as president. Kissick and Seipel worked together to transition her into the position. Kissick is expected to leave her post by early this summer. First responders were called to the scene of a fiery crash between a car and a Port Authority bus at the intersection of 5th Avenue and Grant Street in downtown Pittsburgh late last night. The dark-colored sedan caught fire after the accident, and the driver, who was unconscious, was rescued by Pittsburgh police officers. The driver was transported to the hospital, and their condition is not known at this time. 5 passengers were on board the bus at the time of the crash. 4 of them were taken to local hospitals. Police say their injuries are non-life-threatening. There were no other injuries reported as police are continuing to investigate. PennDOT is announcing the closure of the ramp from the Swickley Bridge to northbound Route 51 in Moon Township that will occur tonight through Monday morning, weather permitting. The ramp will close to traffic from 8 p.m. tonight continuously through 6 a.m. Monday morning to allow crews to conduct widening work at the intersection. Ramp traffic will be detoured. An additional weekend ramp closure will be required to complete the work. Details will be provided in advance of the next closure. You can see the recommended detour on our website at beavercountyradio.com. The nationwide shortage of infant formula has parents frightened and angry and busy visiting stores, websites, and social media groups in search of the products they need to feed their babies. Dr. Joseph Ericry from Allegheny Health Network said in a release, over the past few weeks, our doctors and our caregivers have been deluged with questions from parents regarding the shortage of baby formula. We certainly understand that it can be frightening and frustrating to not be able to find formula at your neighborhood store or not be able to find the type of formula your baby requires. Dr. Ericry, hopeful that recent actions taken or under by consideration by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration will help address this problem, but he said in the meantime, AHN is providing some direction to parents based on the most frequently asked questions that they received. Now, you can see those recommendations by going to our website at beavercountyradio.com.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM. Along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
There's a slight chance of a morning shower or thunderstorm this morning. Otherwise, it's going to be hazy, hot, and humid throughout the rest of the day, high of 87 degrees. Gradual clearing overnight tonight with a low of 69. Tomorrow, there's a slight chance of afternoon showers and possibly a thunderstorm. Otherwise, it's going to be mostly sunny, hazy, hot, and humid as well. High is going to be 91 degrees tomorrow. Showers and thunderstorms likely on Sunday with a high of 84 degrees. Then Monday, mostly cloudy, high 68. Tuesday, chance of afternoon showers and a high of 75 degrees. That is a look at the news for now. I'm Frank Sparks, Beaver County Radio News, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and beavercountyradio.com.
You're listening to Teleforum with your host, Eddie Crow. The numbers to call are 724-843-1888, 724-774-1888. Join the conversation on Teleforum.
If you do have questions about the farmers markets, there are 5 of them in Beaver County. I have the current president and the past president sitting with me. You can call in your questions. You can post your questions on Facebook. This is being live streamed also. Wayne Hardy is my guest, and Chuck Malone is my guest. During the break, you handed me something. I remember this. The Tractor and Equipment Expo, this took place back at Big Knob back in 2017 because we were a part of that.
Correct.
Do you, what's the oldest piece of equipment you have on your farm that's still running, Wayne? Because I know for some farmers it's a source of pride how old your stuff is and it still fires up. How old? What's the oldest tractor?
Well, the oldest tractor I have is a 1941
right on
Massey Harris tractor that was made in Wisconsin, and it still runs. It's only used for show, though. But I do have a potato digger that was a horse-drawn piece of equipment.
Does it still work?
We still use it to dig the potatoes in the fall.
Who do you strap to it? You got a horse or some kin?
We use the tractor, though. We don't have any horses on the farm. So we plant potatoes with a planter that was used by horses and dig the potatoes with a piece of equipment, a potato digger. I think it was manufactured by International Harvester, and we still use it every year.
Somebody decides they get a whim, and I think we all saw this when COVID hit. There were a lot of people that said, I don't want to do my cubicle job anymore. I want to go do what I want to do. I want to have a passion. Ballpark figure, I want to farm. How much am I talking about money? Let's hear 500 acres.
Oh, 500 acres.
Is that okay? I'm over my head, aren't I?
You're in the millions of dollars, but
don't some
farms
tractors
have become very expensive. The farm across from us sold for more than $500,000 this past spring. So
what was $500,000?
Yes. And,
are there some tractors that cost $500,000, like $300,000-$400,000?
Yes, there are.
Depending on all the bells and whistles you get. You get tractors that are 300-400 horsepower with a cab, and like I said, all the bells and whistles can be very expensive. 4-wheel drive.
Oh, GPS and all that. Well, Lamborghini.
Yes.
Even before that, my wife, one aunt,
Mm-hmm.
went to Tarkia College and fell in love with a guy who was from Southwest Iowa, Lowell Bear. And he had a huge farm, like hundreds and hundreds of acres, like you're talking about,
right?
Plus rented, leased others.
Oh, he leased plots out to people.
And that was a real, no, he would lease other land from other people.
Oh.
Yes, and there was a co-op called Coin.
He was becoming a baron.
Well, no, not really,
Yeah.
because, and people don't seem to, big-time farmers like that, they spend a lot of money in spring and take out loans. And so when they sell their crop in the fall of the year or whenever they sell it, they get a lot of money, but all that goes to the bank. But he had tractors that were well worth over $100,000. And now, again, I'm talking back in the 70s, all right, 1970s.
Right. And there's payments on them.
Yes, exact. Silos that cost $100,000 plus. So what would happen out there a lot is they would, a group of guys would get together and buy, say, like a huge piece of farm equipment.
Right.
And then they would share it.
Loan it out.
And they would work the fields together as a co-op.
Well, we were talking off the air. There's a British guy that decided he was going to be a farmer. And that's what they were doing when it came time to get the crops in. Everybody in the neighborhood showed up. And when your neighbor's crops needed, you couldn't survive if you didn't have that attitude, could you? You couldn't grow stuff.
At that size, that's...
Yes, farmers certainly still work together. And if there's a disaster, if one farmer, a major illness,
right,
it's not uncommon for other farmers to help plant or harvest.
Yeah, it's not a
help
job.
them through it.
It's not a job you can say, well, he'll feel better in a month when it's time to plant and when it's time to bring everything in. Is that how it works? Like the old John Mellencamp song, I'm going to borrow enough money to put my stuff in the ground and hope it makes enough money to pay off.
For some people, it does work that
Yeah.
way. No, but you're talking about size. I mean, there are huge farms,
Mhm.
right? But there's also the flip side of that. If you can go out on YouTube or other places, urban farming is becoming a thing in bigger cities. Right?
You talking about rooftop farming or
people do
window
rooftop
box?
yes.
Yeah.
And they'll have a small plot where they'll grow, but it's amazing what you can do. We have one young woman, Maddie. They live over in the Center Township area. She joined the market last year. She does Ambridge. And she has a small, their family has a small, not a real big yard, but she gets quite an amount out of that, Again, you're not going to make a living where you support yourself 100% at that, but you can sell. We have some people who do come to markets. They're not real big, but they do produce a lot of produce on small amounts of land.
How would somebody, they're at home and they're growing stuff and they've got a little bit extra and they think, all right, I want to take this to a farmer's market. How would somebody get in touch with either one of you and say, we want to start showing up? We want a space. We want a booth.
We again, celebrating our 40th anniversary this year, started by a group of farmers in 1982, and they came up with rules. Okay. So as far as produce goes, everything has to be grown in Beaver County.
Okay.
And it has to be grown by you for fruits and vegetables. We do allow a few people outside the county for what is considered value-added items. Like Wood Street Bakery, who joined the market 25, 28 years ago.
Okay.
Because we couldn't find a baker. They did hearth-baked breads.
Right.
They would come to Beaver. They allowed them in, even though they're from Allegheny County, because we couldn't find that value-added product here in Beaver. They've now left because they're aging. They wanted to slow down a little bit. We replaced them with a young woman from Butler County, Novel Breads. She's coming to Beaver. A little bit different to Wood Street, but she makes a good product. But everything's Beaver County. So if someone wants to join the market, usually we start accepting applications in January.
Okay, is there a written quiz involved in this?
There's no written quiz. Well, in a way, there is. They have to tell us where they're located, what they're going to grow, what markets they would like to be in.
Okay. They have to come with something of a business plan.
Not so much a business plan, but to let us know what they're planning on doing.
Okay.
And then the board, once we get all the people who are already members in, and we start reviewing these, all right? The issue is that everybody wants into Beaver because it's the most biggest and popular market at this time. Years ago, it used to be Ambridge.
Ambridge still kicks tail pretty good.
It does.
That's
It's
the
still
one.
big, but
it fills up that parking lot next to the church. I know.
It does, but just to give an example about Ambridge and how people need to be patient is when my wife back in '92 got back into it, she did the smaller markets like Beaver Falls. At the time, there was a market in Coriopolis. We didn't run this market in downtown Aliquippa, but she went there to sell. It took her 7 years to get into Ambridge until there was an open spot.
Really?
Yes, and it took her, she got into Beaver before she got into Ambridge. Everybody wants into Beaver. We understand that, but Beaver is full.
And there's no reason to believe anybody that's doing it's going to walk away and leave their spot.
Some people do.
Yeah.
We do. We have one new person in Beaver, which is Scorched Gardens, and he's value added. He comes from Allegheny County. He does hot sauces. He grows his own peppers and stuff, and he also has a little bit of a food truck where he does like tacos.
Okay.
He's new in Beaver. Other new people in Beaver were existing members in other markets, and then the way it works is if you're an existing member and you would like to get into Beaver or into Ambridge or some other market, in writing, you let the board know. Then if a spot comes open, they have first choice because they're an existing member.
If I want to do that and I get lucky enough to be chosen, what's the commitment? I'm assuming I can't say, okay, I'm only going to show up once and sell one crop and I'm going to get out. You've got to commit to the season, right?
We prefer people to commit. We're not real strict. Okay, to give you an example, there are some products like apples, they don't come in. Till August,
right,
and stuff like that. So they're not going to be there in May. Some people won't be there in May. We do want some sort of commitment. There are other markets, so like in Allegheny County, who are much more strict as far as commitment than we are. There's one market in Allegheny County that's not run by the vendors. It's run by a group of people in the city that their commitment is you're allowed 2 unexcused absences a year.
Really?
Yes, really. We don't require that type of degree of the market managers like Wayne and Tim and the other market managers appreciate it if one of the vendors in a particular market let them know.
Give me a heads up, right?
Give me a heads up. I'm not going to be there because people ask, "Hey, where's so and so? Where's so and so?"
How are they getting away with that in Allegheny County? Is there that much?
That's the rules that they made.
And you play by the rules.
You play by the rules, and our rules, since we are member driven, years ago, 1982, they made up, these are the rules, we're going to follow our bylaws. And there have been some changes over the years.
Wayne Harley is my guest. Chuck Malone is my guest. We're talking about the farmers markets that exist in Beaver County, all over Beaver County. There are 5, one each day of the work week, just about, right? Mine's Thursday. I know when mine is.
Okay.
All right.
We don't do Wednesdays, Fridays, or Sundays.
Okay. Are they growing? Is there more? It goes back to people saying, I want to do something a little bit different. Maybe if they have just a small garden. Is there more interest where you could have more farmers markets, just enough people to provide?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We tried to run a market in New Sheffield for a number of years.
All right.
On Broadhead Road. One of the churches donated their lot, parking lot. That market didn't do real well. We actually needed some sort of hot food there. We felt that would be a draw, but we could not find someone willing to commit. So unfortunately, we've just that market that was held on Wednesdays. That no longer goes on. Personally, I don't think our group can handle another market in Beaver County. There's just aren't enough produce people willing to grow and other additions. And then you're going to have competition. I know we have the market in Chippewa on Tuesday and New Brighton on Tuesday. They're on opposite sides of the river. New Brighton's smaller than Chippewa. I have a list here. New Brighton, there's 5 vendors. Chippewa, there's 10.
Okay. And how many? You said Beaver's the biggest?
Beaver is the biggest, has 29 vendors.
Yeah.
Ambridge has 24. Beaver Falls has 6. New Brighton 5. Chippewa 10. What we're seeing over the last few years is people wanting to join a market or selling what we consider like not non-farm products. We do fruits, vegetables, plants.
Right.
Bakers of different types.
Well, wheat comes from a farm. You can build a hearth. Okay.
Hot foods.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But we're not going to have people selling T-shirts. We're just not going to accept
Oh,
that.
no, it's a flea market at that point.
Right. But there are a lot of markets in Allegheny County or other areas where farmer market has taken a broader view.
Right.
The members have not taken that view. We ask that the members are asked this every year, should we expand? And the answer is no.
I don't want to buy my fresh produce the same place I buy tube socks in bulk.
And I mean, that is our brand. It's
okay.
Farm, locally grown, Like, we do have various bakers, like Beaver Bagel comes to the Beaver Market, does great bagels. Chrissy Biscotti Company, they're a baker. We have some other bakers and the other thing who will do cookies. A woman by the name of Gloria Dorsey who does cookies and other dessert type.
Right.
She doesn't do breads, but dessert type things. She does Ambridge. We have someone called Brianna Hooks. She does hooky cookies. She does Ambridge, and stuff.
Stuff that makes sense that you'd find at a farm. Yeah. Stuff it's either from the farm or it's a product created from something that came from the farm.
Now, years ago, I'm talking decades ago, way before, when my wife's family first got into it, there was a woman who did egg rolls. I did not realize.
Really?
That. Yes, she did egg rolls in the markets.
Cabbage.
Yeah.
All right. Wayne and Chuck have been wonderful. Wayne Harley and and Chuck Malone. One thing I did want to ask you about, I know we were supposed to talk about it, but I got busy. Where I grew up, I knew corn was in session because I would see a truck parked on the side of the road with a big plywood sign with the price. Talk a little bit about that. I don't see that here. Is there a reason? Is it a safety issue, or is it because there's a creek or a mountain 3 feet from the edge of every road?
When sweet corn is in season, you might see a farmer who'll pull out on a location somewhere to sell sweet corn, but for the most part, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It used to be my father-in-law peddled door to door for probably, he was 86 when he died.
What was he peddling?
He did that for 60-some years.
What was he selling door to door? Produce?
Yes, fruit and vegetables.
He had a wagon or something, right?
Yeah, he sold on the back of a pickup truck, but
Okay.
that meant you went door to door to regular customers that
Right.
you knew.
Like the
and you
milkman
sold
used
them.
to.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's long gone too, but it's pretty much the easiest way to do it, to come to a location where you have multiple vendors and people can come there and they can shop. They can go to this vendor or that vendor and buy what they want.
All right. As a farmer, I'm going to give you an opportunity, and I don't know if you'll take it or not. Is there anything you would like to say to every person that ever got up behind you while you were driving your tractor and started honking and flailing like a spastic?
I'll let Wade answer that.
Is there anything? Go ahead.
I'm gonna
ahead.
put my Farm Bureau hat on right now.
There you
because
go.
every spring in April, we have what we call Rural Roads Safety.
Yeah.
And I showed you a flyer that we did an event at the Big Knob Grange a few years ago.
With beautiful trucks.
This year, we had the event up in Lawrence County at the Laurel High School with Laurel FFA. They had a farm toy show, and we had Rural Road Safety there as well. So we had some tractors outdoors, and we had information for people, and it was a very well-attended event. It was the first weekend of April.
Did it surprise you that it was that well attended, especially coming off the back end of COVID at that point?
I think people wanted to get out. But
Is that it?
farm toy collecting is something that engenders a lot of interest. So people were there for that, and we basically piggybacked onto it for rural road safety. So we got to see a lot of people we wouldn't have otherwise in an event like we had at the Big Knob Grange.
Right.
We probably had no more than 100 people come to that event. But,
Now
getting
that's-
on the road, like you said,
Yeah.
a tractor maximum speed is about 25 miles an hour. And
People
you have
honk
your
at you.
flashers.
Yeah, they act like, well, pick it up. There's no pick it up.
It's, you have your slow-moving vehicle sign on the back. You have your flashers on, and you can only go so far to get to the next field where you're going to put a crop in or something.
Turn off, yeah.
And people drive faster. They're in a hurry to get around you, and there's a lot of places where you just can't pass on a rural road. So,
Right.
farmers are injured and killed in accidents on rural roads, so that's why Farm Bureau emphasizes this every year to alert people that are on rural roads and also farmers too to be very diligent.
Right. It's 'tis the season. In the spring, tractors are putting your food in the ground. In the fall, they're going to get it.
Right.
Quit honking. Is there anything I should have asked either one of you that I didn't? I love talking about farming because I know nothing about it, but I grew up around it. So I heard just enough from the back of the school bus to think I know. Is there anything? Pull that mic towards you.
I'd like to give a breakdown of our membership.
Get that microphone closer to you and
sorry.
break down
I'd like
all
to
you
give
want.
a breakdown of our membership.
Yeah.
We have a total of 39 members. And of those 39 members, 27 of them are considered farm product members. They're doing produce, they're doing fruit, but also included we have 3 honey vendors. Tom McCormick was an original member. He's slowing down, and he reached out to us, which we really appreciated. So we have 2 new honey people. One in Ambridge is taking over for Tom, and that's Daryl Mutzel. And then one's going to Chippewa, and that's Randy McCracken. So we have 2 meat producers, which is McElhaney Meats, which I think is 5 generations. They're located in Hookstown. And then Bud and Trish Nosh which is on the same side of the river. They do beef, pork, and chicken.
Okay.
We have 7 different baked goods people. All right, and one of them is Renee. I'm trying to remember her last name.
Renee Foster.
Renee Foster. She does a lot of produce and stuff, but she also bakes cookies. But of those baked goods, we have the biscotti, we have Beaver Bagel, we have cookies, we have the breads, and stuff like that. And we have 3 hot food vendors in various markets, like PJ's Deli and what's their name? I know their first name, Patrick Michael, does Rafka Foods. He does Jamil Foods. They're like Mideastern.
Yeah.
They also sell in stores. And then we have the Scorched Earth Garden guy coming from Aliquippa, or from Allegheny County, excuse me, who will do tacos and stuff. We have one winery, which is Glatz Winery.
That's a good start. Yeah.
And we have a meadery guy, Fitzgerald's, who comes from Elwood City.
A what?
Meadery, honey wine.
Oh, that's what I thought you meant, like mead, like medieval.
Yes.
Okay.
But he does honey wine. He's in 2 of the markets. I think he's in New Brighton and Ambridge, and Glatz comes to Beaver. We have a guy in Chippewa who does barbecue dry rub spices and goat milk fudge.
Ooh.
And he does Chippewa. And what's his name?
We have a couple.
Robert Wilmoth, Gray Goat barbecue spices. So we have a wide variety. We try to split this up.
We actually have a couple vendors that sell mushrooms as well.
Oh, I forgot. That's right. Milk.
Our morels ought to be about in.
Yes. I'm not sure if any of them have morel mushrooms.
Okay.
We found a couple. I better not say that because
I'll keep track of that myself.
Because they grow wild. But we have two guys who do mushrooms. They'll do things like lion manes and stuff like that, which is really slick. Both of them have really nice operations that they grow in their house, in the
basement.
In the basement.
Yeah. All right. Real quick, run down the list of what days. Wayne Harley has been my guest, and Chuck Malone has been my guest. We've been talking about the Beaver County Farmers Market. Mine, Ambridge is Thursday. One of the other ones.
Beaver Falls is on Monday, 3:30 to 6:30.
Right.
It's behind the Broadhead.
It's at corner of 12th Street and 8th Avenue parking lot in Beaver Falls.
Okay.
Broadhead Apartments. New Brighton, which is on Tuesdays from 3:30 to 6:30. It's in Diamond Millings parking lot.
Yeah.
We had to move it because,
I hit that one.
Yep. And Chippewa, which is at the Methodist Church at 2545 Darlington Road. That's on Tuesdays also from 3:30 to 6:30. Ambridge, which is Park Road and 6th Street, opposite the Ukrainian Catholic Church parking lot. They're very nice. Donate that parking lot to us. They're from 4 to 7. And then Beaver at the courthouse from 10 to 1.
It is by far the best way to eat. Your local farmers market. Chuck Malone and Wayne, thank you very much. Wayne Harley, I want you guys to come back and teach me farm stuff because I'm going to be a man of the earth eventually.
May is typically the start of the busy season. Yes, the weather is nicer, but it also usually means that it's time to start going to weddings, graduations, reunions, vacations, and all kinds of other things. Traveling to those events and buying gifts can be a concern. Thankfully, Falcone's Moon Township Ford can help in 2 ways. Take the worry out of how to pay for some of those excursions by selling your car to Falcone's Moon Township Ford. In an effort to build up lot inventory for the summer, top dollar cash offers for your current vehicle are being offered right now. On the other hand, getting a better, more dependable car to do all your traveling this season is also something Falcone's Moon Township Ford can help with. Go ahead with making your plans. Let the relatives know that you're on the way. Then click moontownshipford.net or visit Falcone's Moon Township Ford on University Boulevard, located across from Robert Morris University.
Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends.
Now thundering through the valley on 4 powerful radio stations. It's Beaver County Radio on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP and 1460 WMBA. You're listening to 95.7 FM, 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. After opening solidly higher this morning, Wall Street has been struggling to hold on to the gains. The key averages have now fallen into the red. Something else that's fallen? President Biden's job approval numbers. We have a new poll just in.
President Biden's approval rating is at 39%, the lowest point of his presidency, according to a poll by the Associated Press and the Nork Center for Public Research. Only 2 out of 10 American adults say the U.S. is headed in the right direction. That's down 10% from a month ago, with disappointed Democrats leading the drop. The findings reflect widespread exasperation in a country facing higher gas prices and interest rates, overall inflation, a shortage of baby formula, gun violence, and a persistent pandemic. Jennifer King, Washington.
And leaving all of those troubles behind, the president has traveled to South Korea. He arrived earlier today, taking a tour of a Samsung semiconductor plant.
These little chips, only a few nanometers thick, are the key to propelling us into the next era of humanity's technological development.
The factory Mr. Biden visited is a model for a plant that Samsung plans to build in Tyler, Texas. After South